Welcome to another episode of the Fresh Blerd Air podcast. I am joined by the Chiseled One himself. We all shall acknowledge him.
Mm.
Welcome, welcome. Yes, yes. Put your ones in the air.
Oh yeah.
Ones in the air. There you go. Thank you for coming through.
Oh man, it's been my honor. For those of you guys who are unfamiliar, let me catch you up to speed. I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis, and we are here. We are here, and I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I mean, we ran into each other at Blerdcon last year.
Yes.
That was a a crazy, that was a crazy day for me because I was, it wasn't going too hot for me that day. It was a lot of stuff going on, and then I just happened to be just, standing minding my business. Just happened to turn around, and I had saw you. I was like, that looked like Chiseled Adonis right there.
Mm-hmm. It
So
was
I was
interesting,
like,
man.
well, I gotta go say something.
Mm-hmm.
And then like my wife, she makes jokes about me every day about it because she said that I was standing there for like an hour or some change just talking.
Yeah, we were chopping it up for a little bit. I think maybe like 30, 40 minutes. I don't know. I didn't keep count. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, because it was just like I had, when I spoke to you, I was telling you how I, stumbled across your videos during the pandemic, and how it helped me to pretty much gain my confidence and everything to get back to where I am right now doing this interview with you.
Yeah, man, 100%. And you going to Blerdcon this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, I actually, me and my friend, we have a panel.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. What day?
It's on Friday. So funny story about it is like when we did it, right? They say you got to sign up and everything. So all right, this is like our first thing or whatever. So we signed up or whatever. I put the paperwork in. They said it had to be in by April 26th. So I put it in there and I ain't hear nothing back. So I was like, I'm reaching out. So I'm like, what's going on? And then they tell me like, oh yeah, so you submitted in the wrong area.
Ah,
So they said, yeah, we can't accommodate you. So I was like, y'all just can't move it over, to the correct area. I was like, this is the first time putting it together. So they say, well, so what we're going to do is, put you on the wait list in case anybody cancel. I was like, okay. So they hit me with emails like, yeah, somebody canceled you. You want a spot? And I said, okay, what day? They said Friday, 9:30. They said 9:30 p.m. to like 10:20. I was like, I'll take it
right. Take it.
because I don't want to sit there and be like, no, I don't know about that. And somebody else take it, and then I don't get no spot.
Oh, interesting.
And what made me, push for it was the schedule came out, and I saw somebody had the same idea as we did because we're doing Blerd Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
So they said Blerd Jeopardy, and my wife asked me, she's like, "Is that y'all?" I was like, "I don't know. Let me go ahead and hit them up." They was like, "No, it was somebody else." So we pushed for it, and then they said, what's your title?" Because we had Blerd Jeopardy, so I was like, "I don't want to put Blerd Jeopardy, you get it mixed up." So what I did was I said, "The real Blerd Jeopardy, y'all the twos, and we the ones."
Oh man. Oh, the real one's gonna know the reference. The real one's gonna know the reference.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I'm actually gonna be at Blerdcon as well this upcoming weekend. So perhaps I might pop out. I'll show up at the panel.
Oh, please do, please do. So how did you get into content creating?
So I got into content creating back in 2016. I believe my first video upload was like February or March of 2016 on Facebook. But I was originally playing football when I was in college, and then I guess the realization hit in like 2013 after my sophomore year. We're like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be able to make a career out of this. So I'm gonna have to pivot, figure something else out. And then
Mhm.
over the course of the next year and a half, I finished up college. But then my business law professor actually pulled me to the side, and then he had said, "Hey, why are you here?" I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" So then he went into the whole spiel of, I naturally happen to have somewhat of a charismatic, you know, uh, 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 um, wit to me. So with that being the case, I should probably look into going into entertainment. I'm like, what do you mean by that? What kind of professor pushes somebody away from the books? I got to be in the class. It's not like I'm over here with an F. So where's this
Hmm.
coming from? But overall, he ended up telling me to go do like a life retrospection. And I went back and I looked at my entire life and everything of that nature. The one constant was also or always comedy. So when that was the case, I said, all right, I'm going to go ahead and go in and get into comedy. So all of 2015, after I finished school, I saved every dime that I had from my job. I worked as a cabin cleaner at the airport, so I was cleaning planes when the passengers came off, and then saved every dime. And then ultimately, 2016, I said, "All right, I'm going to go into use all of this money that I saved. I think it was like $13,000. So I
Hmm.
saved like 13,000 the entire year. I didn't spend a dime." And then I just started paying for open mics, things of that nature. And I'll never forget the first video I ever recorded. I was on my way to the gym. It started raining out of nowhere. People, all of a sudden, there was traffic because people seemed afraid to drive. It was like a light drizzle. You would have thought it was a monsoon outside the way people were driving.
Hmm.
So since that was the case, I said, man, people don't know how to drive. Let me just set up my phone in this corner and I'll just start ranting. Posted it on Facebook, got like 1,000 views, and it's been till this day that's what got me started.
How did you get into I guess the commentary for I guess for sports?
Yeah, I was sitting around on Facebook and I think I had watched Ozzy Man Reviews video on something with like animals, something of that nature. And then the very next video was the 2017. No, this was back in 2016. This was is some sort of highlight package came up in sports, and I'm like, man, it made me. It reminded me of Chris Berman, who used to do the highlights on ESPN. I believe he's now on ESPN Plus doing the highlights, but he used to do NFL primetime. I'm like, man, somebody should make funny commentary on sports.
Hmm.
Maybe I should make funny commentary on sports. And then I started doing isolated videos here and there. Some would be hits, some would be misses. But then it was the 2017 NBA Finals, the rematch of Golden State and Cleveland for the third consecutive year. I did a 5-part series on each of the games, and I had great reviews on it on Facebook. So I said, you know what? I think I can make this sports commentary thing a thing. And then kept recording, started the NFL commentary, and then ultimately during the pandemic, I figured everybody was home, but MMA kept going, like UFC kept
Yeah.
going. So since that was the case, I'm like, all right, I know people who are going to be online are really going to be into the combat sports. So let me start posting some combat sport content. And man, it took the channel to different heights. So that's what ultimately got me into doing the sports commentary.
Have you I guess have you got any like feedback from I guess people like outside of YouTube about your commentary?
Surprisingly, I've had a couple of the fighters who I've done commentary on. Some of them have reached out on Twitter, Instagram. They said they saw the video. Some laughed, some maybe not so much. But I've been able to contact some people. Funny enough, my highest viewed content on commentary is the Michael Venom Page video, and there was a subscriber of mine who actually was in London at a bar, ran into Michael Venom Page, and not only took a photo with him, showed him the video, and he said, "Oh wait, I've seen this video before," so he knows who I am. So that's pretty cool.
I know that you're a big wrestling fan. Did you ever think about doing? Did you ever do any type of commentary with wrestling just yet, or?
I've done some videos before, but as for like getting into wrestling, since I was a kid, I always envisioned being a wrestler. But as I gotten older, I recognize what their, strenuous schedule is, how you're on the road that 300 plus days or whatever the case is. So with that being the reality of the situation, I think I'll most likely omit becoming a full-time wrestler. But if I could step my clout game up to where I can somehow celebrity my way in and they hand me a microphone, that's all she wrote, because I've been waiting for this moment, for my entire life. I think anybody who is a wrestling fan must at least be able to have a bit of mic work, even if you are somewhat antisocial, even if you're in a situation to where you're relatively nervous, you got stage fright, whatever the case may be. If I hand you a microphone, I tell you to cut a promo, I put you in a room by yourself. It may take a little bit of time just to get accustomed to holding the mic in your hand, but I promise you, any wrestling fan will be able to cut a doggone promo. And for me, I always wanted to be in wrestling just so I can have a mic in my hand and do something. So I just got to step my clout game up, and then I'll work my way into, going into anything wrestling. But I love wrestling. I've been watching since I was like 4.
How has your family supported you with everything going on with you with YouTube and everything else?
Oh, they haven't. Like I legit, I was in a my mom had always thought the videos I was doing was just jokes. Like it's not gonna go anywhere. Nothing of that nature. Even till this day, she still doesn't understand it. Now there are people who recognize me. And she said, "Oh wait, this person said they saw you on YouTube. This person said," but she still is in a situation where she's just very perplexed about how it operates. My father, he was a bit better than my mom because my mom would completely like I could be recording, she would start a whole church service in the midst of me recording. So then I would have her audio in the background of me trying to record. It used to drive me up a wall. It was terrible. My father, he at least had, like he would vacate the premises to a particular, degree whenever I was in the midst of recording. So I guess he supported me at least in the case of respecting the fact that I was actually trying to make a career out of something. But he never actually went out of his way to say, hey, I'm going to watch this video or I'm going to see if I can aid in financing or whatever the case is. And my brother sparingly will tune into some videos here and there. But for the most part, my family, it was in a situation where I was really lone wolfing it.
And have you had any? I know we all have them days of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, but you keep pushing through it.
Yeah, a lot, especially in 2018. Man, that was easily probably the most difficult year, 2018 into 2019, as I was approaching 100,000 subscribers. And as you probably, well, no, you came along during the pandemic, so you probably didn't get an opportunity to see how difficult things were through 2018 to 2019. There was a stretch to where I received a strike on my channel every month for maybe about 17 months. And the problem was I was in a situation where I had accumulated enough strikes to where I'm balancing 4, 5 strikes at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So as you know, they say, all right, if you get 3, well, if you have 3 copyright or 3 community guidelines, then you're gone. Turns out it's actually 4. So I was in a situation where I didn't have my warnings yet because I don't think they introduced that yet. But I had 3 community guideline strikes and 2 copyright strikes, and every time one came off, another one would show up. And then the reasoning behind the strikes were always so vague and all over the place. I would never be able to find myself in a situation where it gets appealed. So, with that being the reality of the situation, I spent a year and a half pretty much walking, or I should say posting on eggshells, hoping that things would not, get removed in the midst of ascending towards that 100,000 mark. So it was so difficult because I found myself always building a little bit of momentum. Then I get a suspension. So now I can't post for a week or I can't post for 2 weeks. So it got to a point where I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, is this even, I don't think this is worth it anymore. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
although I'm having some fun creating the content, there's always a caveat. There's always an Achilles heel. Something's holding me back from being able to break through. And then at the same time, they took my Facebook page that had grown to 122,000 followers, and then it got taken away overnight, and I had to pretty much rebuild from there. So it was like everything was hitting me at the same time. It was
Right.
brutal.
How did you come up with your I guess I call them your famous catchphrases?
Oh, being a rock fan, being a wrestling fan, without question. Growing up, seeing the importance of being able to make your audience be a part of something bigger than themselves, but also have your audience on cue to where I'm an inside joke kind of guy. So whenever I'm with my friends, I'm with my family, whatever the case is, I'll bring something up that only we know so we can laugh about that.
Uh-huh.
But the problem that I ran into when you're creating content, if you're making videos for strangers, people who don't really know your sense of humor yet, they don't know what your cues or what your go-to jokes may be yet, you have to build that rapport. Best way to build that rapport is to give the people something that they can participate with alongside you. So I started thinking to myself, man, there's a couple of things that I've said consistently throughout my entire life. Like I've always said, hold my nuggets, right? And then
Mhm.
I've always, said, put your motherfucking head back down. From the east to the west, I think that was something more that developed as I was creating the videos or whatever. But I started to think back to, okay, I grew up a wrestling fan. I was a huge fan of The Rock, loved Stone Cold Steve Austin, all these different things. What is it that they were able to utilize to connect with the crowd? The Rock would say, know your role, Rudy Poo. The crowd would say, when he say, know your role, they'd say, shut your mouth. When he said Rudy Poo, they'd say, candy ass. When he says, if you smell, and they would do the whole, what the Rock is cooking and everything of that nature. Stone Cold, he would be speaking. They'd say, what in between? He'd say, that's the bottom line. They say, because Stone Cold said so. So then, because that was the case, I said, man, I think I got some here. If I can now come up with a catchphrase or a bevy of different catchphrases to where it becomes recognizable with the people, I now can alter how they participate with the content. So if I'm at a point where I'm saying something that is familiar with the viewer, they'll now say, oh, well, we're going to participate with that. And now we grow that rapport between us. And then it now becomes an inside thing. So I built like my own kind of family, little family per se.
Because I that was one of the when I had started my past job before I got a new one. That we that's how I connected with my coworker because he was he was a young guy, so I had to connect with him because he's more into YouTube and everything. And I say, have you heard of Chiseled Adonis? And we became fast friends right there, like just looking at your videos every day. We was using your catchphrases at work and everything.
I appreciate that. That's what's up. Hopefully nobody got no, suspensions or anything at work. I'd hate to have
Oh
that.
no, no, no. When you do like because I know you've done like some collaborations. Like how does that come about?
With I've done a few collaborations, but it's just been a matter of reaching out. Like a number of people have always reached out to me about like making content with them and things of that nature. And I'm all for it. Like I think now I'm much more open to collaboration than I was before because I didn't want to be in a situation where I couldn't bring value to somebody. Because although they can look at it and say, "Oh, well, this guy got a number of, subscribers or whatever the case may be," if I can't have my audience enjoy what it is that you're doing, or I should say, bring my audience to yours so that they now get acclimated with what you got going on. I didn't feel comfortable, collaborating with people, but now I'm much more open to it because I think I've gotten to the point where I can lead with value. So it's never really been so much of the case of me like reaching out to individuals. Like if I run into somebody in passing, I'm like, wait a minute, I think there's something that we could probably do something. Like right now, I think one person who's on my list to collaborate with is definitely Daquan Wiltshire. Like
Mhm.
yeah, I've popped into a couple of his streams and everything, and I actually reached out to him. I wanted to see if he was going to any of the cons, whether it be Blerdcon or DreamCon or anything of that nature. He said he's probably gonna hold off on going, but I definitely foresee a collaboration in the future. And when I go out to DreamCon at the conclusion of this month, because I was luckily able to get some tickets this time around, I'm gonna see if I could get within the space of like the Caleb City, the King Vader, the Trey Rags, RDC, where all those guys, if I can get in the same room, same table, opportunity to speak to them, I think I can mess around and get a collaboration at one point. So, but it's just a matter of being, willing to network. That's how I've been able to create, some collaborations with a few people.
Have you had any bad experiences with content creating?
Yes, I've had burnout happen. Burnout has happened in numerous different moments in which you can be in a little bit of a momentum, but then you could find yourself in a spot where you feel as if you're just going through the motions. So you have to disconnect to go and refine that inspiration. So that's been one thing. Definitely burnout. I think two would have to be, the roadblocks, whether it be suspensions, whether it be blocks, whether it be shadow banning, things of that nature. That has definitely been, I'd say, number two for me. And then ultimately, I think number three would just behind the scenes issues. Like, for example, before we even had an opportunity to go live, like literally 20 minutes I spent trying to see if I could get, like, my mic wasn't connecting to my mixer, my camera kept unplugging. Like, it's the small tedious things. So I
Mhm.
would say those are the three.
Yeah, because that's like a it's always, you try to get those things, when you're not recording,
Hmm.
everything's working fine. When you're not recording, everything's good. All right, this works, this works, this works. All right, as soon as you hit record, something cuts off.
Hmm. Yep. The worst, absolute worst. And to make matters worse is when and this happened a number of times back between 2016 and 2018. I would hit record on the camera. I would start going only to find out that my battery died or something disconnected or it just wasn't recording when I thought it was recording. Brutal, absolutely brutal. You could go and record an entire video, you could go on a rant for however long only to find out nothing was saved. It's incredibly frustrating.
Because going back to when you were talking about burnout, that's what I had when I was doing my podcast. I felt like I was going through the motions, and then I was just like, okay, I need to get off this ride, and I need to, regroup and start over.
Hmm.
And that's why I was, doing it. It wasn't working out. I got off that ride, and I just chilled out. And I kept talking about, I'm gonna get back on it. I'm gonna do it, but I was trying to figure out how to put everything together. And then when I talked to you, it kind of, gave me that, I guess, a spark, as they say. So I get off your ass and, look into it.
Hmm. Right, right. That's all it takes. It's just a matter of saying, all right, you just got to regroup, identify how it is that you want to go about things. Because of course, there's the few anomalies, the one-offs, the outliers of who can just start some and immediately find success. Oftentimes, you'll be in situations where you attempt to do something, you get into something, and then you start to hit a bit of roadblocks. You may have a bit of rider fatigue, or maybe even the viewer fatigue, or maybe you end up having moments in which you have to disconnect because you're feeling burnout. It's just a matter of just going back and saying, all right, let me just reassess what it is that I'm trying to do, what's been working, what's not working, what tweaks can you make? Because ultimately, nobody's got everything figured out. So
Mhm.
you just have to alleviate the pressure that may be on your shoulder. Say, wait a minute, we all don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just trying to figure out how it works.
Well, how do you get your ideas and everything for, I guess, episodes or whatever content you want to put out?
Well, sometimes things will pass across on my desk. Like I'll just be scrolling, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and I'll come across a video. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this seems interesting. Maybe I could do something about this. And or I could just be outside and I'll have inspiration. Like whenever I had my rants or my videos where I'm sitting in the car or I'm just sitting here and I'm talking about something, I may have just seen something happen outside. Like for example, I was in Chicago a week ago. One of my longtime subscribers, he's actually part of a symphony out there. So I actually flew over there to go and support him. But in the midst of me arriving in Chicago, I went to go get some food at an IHOP. And randomly, you had these young kids who just pretty much talking about life as if they had no future or they weren't interested in the future.
Mhm.
Immediately, it sparked an idea for a video. I could be sitting at a park and I'll be observing whatever's going on around me, and immediately it'll spark an idea for a video. So my inspiration pretty much comes from everywhere.
Have you like wanted to? I guess, well, we all want to be like, aim higher and get bigger. Is
Mhm.
there somebody that you would want to bring on or collab with that's like, I guess, a movie star or somebody into music?
Somebody to collaborate with to like do a video.
Yeah.
Um, well, for one, definitely The Rock, only because of the childhood connection, because I think I shaped so much of my personality, not necessarily around The Rock 100%, but definitely played a large role because I was a very reserved kid and I kept to myself for a great deal of time. And it was kind of the rock that aided in me coming out of my shell and saying, no, 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 maybe I should be a bit more boisterous, or things of that nature, and more out there, and being willing to, try to go the extra mile to make somebody laugh or entertain myself or try to connect and things of that nature. So I'd say The Rock, probably number one. Peyton Manning, only because I want to sit there and go over X and O's with this guy. He's like a human computer. So then there would be that number two. So I'd say The Rock, Peyton Manning, and if there was a three for an art, probably 50 Cent, because I'd love to know what does the day to day look like in the life of a man who was on his deathbed and is now, for all intents and purposes, he's approaching majority of his life after the shooting than prior to the shooting. So I'd love to know if he looks at it kind of like a Thomas Shelby from the Peaky Blinders, to where it's like everything is extra, or do you have like a goal or plans for your 50 years, no pun intended, your 60s years, your 70s years? So I'd probably those three.
Okay, I'm getting to the portion of the interview where I ask 5 random questions.
Mhm.
All right. What is your favorite sports team?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Go Steelers.
Oh yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Let's see. Number 2. Favorite movie of 2023.
Oh, my favorite movie of 2023. Good God, I watched 2 movies all year. And I watched them both last week. So it's between Creed 3 and John Wick 4. I'd probably say John Wick 4 just slightly edges out Creed 3, because I think the ending in Creed kind of was a bit too accelerated for my liking. I think they could have really spread that out. They could have added an extra 30 minutes. But
Is stretching out. He's going to make more.
yeah. So he's just gonna keep. I think it's gonna be with the daughter or something of that nature. But I would say John Wick is my movie for 2023
Favorite tag team.
of all time. Oh, the Dudleys.
Favorite music artist.
Favorite music, Linkin Park.
All right now. Favorite guilty pleasure.
Favorite guilty pleasure. Oh my heavens. I've really gotten into eating chocolate mousse. I love chocolate mousse, but I would have to say guilty pleasure. Probably, I think some people would. I can't say listening to Britney Spears, because everybody knows I like Britney Spears. But I would say eating chocolate mousse. I think that's my guilty pleasure, because I shouldn't be eating all these desserts or whatever the case may be. But I went to a pizzeria a few days ago. I ordered like 4 pieces of chocolate mousse. I'm over here eating it at 3 in the morning in a dark room. Like, yeah, this is no way to live life. But yeah, definitely chocolate mousse.
Before we get here, do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, if anything, just for the people who are unaware of my content, you have an opportunity to go and tune in on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Chiseled Adonis. That's ChiseledAdonis. Chiseled Adonis on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere where there is a social media, I am there. So you can check me out over there.
I really appreciate you for coming through. I really appreciate you doing this.
Oh man, the pleasure was all mine, man. The pleasure was all mine. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had mentioned in our conversation last year that you would definitely be open to having me on the show. So I gotta definitely honor that, man. I'm a man of my word.
Much respect, much respect. To be honest, I wouldn't be in this position if I didn't talk to you that day, because it really just put a spark in me to keep, it's like, all right, stop BSing and get back on it.
Yeah, 100%, man. You just got to keep working. I always say it's the 3 C's. You got to commit to the commitment and consistency. Just keep working. You find a way to make things work. And then oftentimes, even if there is nothing that you believe you could talk about, there will be something. You could talk about yourself. You then humanize yourself with the audience. You find questions from the audience to go and discuss things that the audience is interested in. And then even when you find yourself in moments to where you can get a bit burnt out, don't put no pressure on you. Disconnect, regroup, hop right back in there. And I'm excited to see what this panel is going to look like this Friday evening. I'm gonna move heaven and earth to make sure I can attend. I'd really be upset if I couldn't, but I'm sure I can run into you. I'll definitely run into you while we're out there. So I'm looking forward to that.
But if you're not able to get to the panel, I'll definitely see you around.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm going in there on, I believe I'm arriving on Thursday. They have like a couple of things that was on the schedule that was there for Thursday, so I should be arriving on Thursday, and then I believe I'm staying until Monday. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not rushing out of anywhere, and I'm not gonna be as low key this time around. I'm gonna make sure that I can tell people like, hey, I'm coming to Blerdcon. Make sure I can have the energy up. I'm not gonna try to like shield behind the Toby mask. So we're gonna make it fun. I'm gonna enjoy myself.
Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You guys have yourself a great night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Later.